Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. I will give you a deadline of a week. How many of you will be ready to undergo audit after a week?
1 week becomes too
No,
short a
sir.
time for any audit
No, sir.
preparation.
Right, but you can undergo the audit.
Yes, one
That is
can,
the
if one is already in the preparation mode, one can undergo an audit.
right, exactly. I wanted to hear this answer. The answer was precisely correct because you said the preparation time for the audit is too less you to present or to undergo the audit, right? So the time
Right.
duration for the preparation of audit is very important. Not only that, the duration required for the audit is important. What are the other important factors? This is the process in laboratory workflow which involves human emotions, human interactions, human psychology. This is not just a technical aspect of the laboratory quality management. Here, the human emotions are also involved because nobody will like to get judged. Okay, and that's why the factor of manipulating the results, peep into the process, and that will affect the auditor's role as well as auditor's role in this overall laboratory audit process. So we have to think about, because the documentation will be perfect, your implementation of those documents and all the procedure will be perfect, but the lacunae will be occurring where there are human interaction between auditor and auditee. So that part I think I should cover today, where we can improve those factors of human interactions which can you know inculcate into a good laboratory audit practices. Okay, so first of all we'll see what is quality management system and what is the role of assessment or audit process in this overall quality management system. So these are 12 quality system essentials. You must have seen this diagram, which includes organization, personnel, equipment, purchasing and inventory, process control, information management, and like on. So here is the assessment, which is the very important part of quality management system, because without assessment we can't ensure the proper implementation of our laboratory processes. May it be a first party audit, second party audit, or third party audit. Everyone has to get assessed, and that is the fact. Whether we like it or not like it doesn't matter, but assessment has to be there to ensure that there is proper implementation of the processes. So what is quality management system is? Quality management system can be described as a set of 12 quality system essentials needed to control, assure and manage the quality of the laboratory's processes. So all the processes through these 12 quality system essentials will be managed, controlled and assured. The quality will be assured. So this is what the quality management system is. Each lab, whether accredited or not, has a quality management system, but up to what extent these 12 quality system essentials are being followed, that's a question. Okay, but each lab will have its own quality management system. Okay. So coming to the laboratory audit role in quality management system. So coming to the assessment part, what happens in assessment? What are the audits? Audits of the laboratory are performed at predefined time intervals. So ऐसा नहीं कि if we thought चलो अभी audit कर लेते, कुछ तूफानी करते हैं तो चलो अभी audit कर लेते. Not like that. It has to be a program. It has to be a plan. It should be predefined. In this month of year we will undergo internal audit, like this kind of program you should have, laboratory should have, and what should be assessed in that particular internal audit has to be predefined. So assessing whether the laboratory complies with the defined quality system processes. Which quality system processes? Because the audit, the scope of the audit may be a system, may be a process, or may be a service, a part of the service, or maybe a product also. So not only a complete system audit has to be there, there can be a partial audit of any single process also. So scope has to be decided, and this can involve procedural or result based assessment criteria. So this audit is not going to be conducted based on whims and fancies of the auditor. There will be a certain result based assessment criteria. So for example, in case of NABL audit, NABL has its checklist. Your laboratory, if undergoing internal audit, you can derive your assessment criteria. Okay, so the checklist for your internal audit may be different. For NABL it is set. Okay, for CAP accreditation they have a separate checklist. So the assessment criteria will be decided based on which agency or yourself, your laboratory is assessing that particular quality system process. Okay, so in this particular part, the performing of audit by medical laboratories will ensure what you are going to ensure with audit is the pre-examination, examination, and post-examination, and the supporting processes are being conducted in a manner which will meet the needs and requirement of users. So for whom we are doing this audit? Not for us. Definitely not for us, because we do not have time to conduct that audit. But we are conducting audit so that we can ensure, we can, justify our qualities standards to our users. That's why we are doing that. Okay. So for that, we should ensure that we are meeting the needs and requirements of the user. So we are conducting laboratory audits, and very essential part of quality management system. These audits will allow the continued maintenance and improvement of quality within the medical laboratory setting. And audits therefore enable the laboratory to understand how well it is performing when compared with a benchmark, as we have talked about annual checklist or something like that. To be effective, the laboratory auditing should report both non-conformances and corrective actions also, which are going to be a very crucial part of this complete laboratory audit process. Okay, so we'll see few terminologies when we will discuss the laboratory audit. Okay, so there are certain terminologies which are interchangeably used. One is accreditation, assessment, and audit. So before going through the audit process, I think I should explain you these terminologies. What is accreditation? It is a process by which an authoritative body gives formal recognition that an organization is competent to carry out specific tasks. So if we compare, if we take an example of NABL, right? It's an authoritative or accreditation body which is going to give you a formal recognition or accreditation that your laboratory is competent enough to carry out the specific task. Here the task means the parameter which we are going to, which you are going to apply for the NABL accreditation. So that is accreditation. Some certification or accreditation is there, and some body is involved, that external agency is involved in accreditation process. Then coming to assessment. What is assessment? I'll explain you the difference between assessment and audit. First, we'll go through the definition. By definition, assessment is systematic process of collecting and analyzing data to determine the current, historical, or projected condition of an organization, process, or activity. So here, the assessment can be retrospective as well as prospective. It's a systematic process. So it is not, it's a planned and systematic process. And here the data is going to be collected and analyzed, a report will be created, and why we are going to assess it? To determine whether the current, the existing practices, the historical, the past practices or the past records, or the projected condition, if we are going to go with this standard of quality, what projected condition we see our organization at, after some time. So that is assessment. And when we compare with audit, the audit is a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence. So see these keywords: systematic, independent, and documented process. That doesn't mean assessment is not documented. It is also documented, but there is a very minor difference between this assessment and audit. We'll discuss that. For obtaining audit evidence, so here the evidences or the proofs of non-conformances or certain minor observations also will be collected. Those observations will be decided whether it is evidence and whether it is audit finding, and it will be evaluated. thoroughly against set standard objectively to determine the extent to which audit criteria are fulfilled. Here the audit criteria, for example, if your laboratory is undergoing internal audit, so you have your audit criteria. Yeah, suppose like I have to achieve this much percentage of accuracy or competence in this particular process. So that was your audit criteria, and the audit evidence you are going to compare with that, and you are going to finalize the audit report. So that is audit. But here in case of audit, there is no assessment of competence. Assessment is something which is not seen. So if I want to assess a consultant and its competency, so I can observe him prospectively whether he is performing the particular system process or performing any analysis properly or not. But until and unless the record is created, I cannot document it. So what I can see, what I can hear, okay, so that I can analyze only with evaluation or the assessment of his competency. Competency is to be seen. It can be audited only when the documents are generated or records are generated. Okay, so that is assessment. Assessment is done for all documented as well as non-documented processes which we can see. Actually we can see the performance of a consultant in reporting histopathology slides, or we can see the competence of a laboratory technician in performing or preparation of the slides. He can do that, so we can see that competency. So when we can see but and document until and unless the records are generated, that is called as assessment. Now NABL use NABL assessment, not audit, because it assesses the competency of the consultants or the signing authorities also. So that is the difference between assessment and audit. So I am now we have seen two terminologies here: audit evidence and audit criteria. So we'll see those two terminologies. So what is evidence? Evidence is, you might have seen during your internal audit or external audit by NABL, those auditors are clicking photographs of the evidences or non-conformances or any record. They are submitting the records. So those records or statement of fact or other information which are relevant to the audit criteria set by the external agency or set by the laboratory, I mean your laboratory for the internal audit, and those should be verifiable against the published literature. Somewhere it has to be published and you have to follow that. If it is not complying to that, that is audit evidence. Evidence for non-conformances. Okay. So what is audit criteria against which we are going to compare audit evidence? So it is a set of policies, procedures or requirement used as a reference. So for NABL, we use ISO 15189 as a standard. So that is a reference standard for audit criteria for NABL audits. So that is ISO 15189 is the requirements for quality and competence laid down by the ISO organization. But for implementation of those ISO standards in India, we have a national guideline, that is NABL 112, that gives you a specific requirement for medical laboratories. So these two audit criteria we use for NABL accreditation, NABL assessment for accreditation purpose. So that is the audit criteria against which the evidence is generated about your implementation or documentation will be compared. Now coming to two more terminologies, what are audit findings or audit conclusion? The audit findings are the result of evaluation of the collected audit evidence against the audit criteria. So I will compare the audit evidence with audit criteria and I will generate audit findings. So I will say whether the observation, whether the process is satisfactory or not satisfactory. That is my audit finding based on the result of evaluation and comparison with the audit criteria. Then outcome of an audit is the audit conclusion. But when it will be out, it is the consideration of the audit objectives and the audit findings. So these audit findings will be compared, considered together with audit objectives, the objectives with which I have started the audit. For example, I am doing audit of your laboratory for verification of or the assessment of a new authorized signatory in your laboratory. So I will see what observations I have got, what are the audit findings after evaluation by comparing with audit criteria, and I will see whether those observations or the audit findings fit into the report or not. So I will restrict myself or the audit findings to the scope of the audit and will generate the final audit report. I may find hundreds of things during my audit process, but whether to keep that observation or NC in the final audit report, I have to come to this step and decide depending on the audit objectives. Okay, so this was regarding few terminologies which will be going through, I mean, which will be touching upon during our complete presentation. So now coming to various categories of laboratory audit. So what are the various categories? We just talked about. It may be, first party audit, second party audit, third party audit, or some may say that it is internal audit, or it may be an external audit, right? So what is internal audit and why these different categories are formed? So these are the three main categories: first, second, and third party audits. So why are they created, or why do we consider this in this way, that first party, second party, third party? There are three main categories of the audits, and depending on the relationship between the auditor and the person being audited, that is auditee, we have just seen the auditor's perspective. So the relationship between auditor and the auditee, these three different categories are formed. So first party audit, we'll see what are the first party audits. First party audits are nothing but the internal audits. This is when someone from the organization, your self organization, will audit a process or a single process or a set of processes in a quality management system to ensure it meets the procedure that the company had specified. So it doesn't mean that your laboratory during the internal audit has to comply with the NABL requirement only. You may keep it like that also, but your laboratory or your organization may have a different set of criteria for audit, which may be more stringent compared to the NABL audit. And it is said that the internal audit has to be in so much of depth that each and every NC or area of improvement has to be picked up during the internal audit, so that the external audit doesn't find any such kind of NCs which may be minor or which may be a smaller improvement, like some documentation has to be revised or something like that. So if that is picked up in the internal audit, you are saved in the external audit. Okay, the person can be an employee, the person who you have designated as an internal auditor in your organization is someone from your organization, or maybe you can hire some other person from other organization to perform the internal audit. But the important thing is that the person acting on behalf of the company rather than a customer or certification body. This is the main difference between external audit and internal audit. Here, that person or the internal auditor will not give you any certification or accreditation. That is just being conducted to see whether you comply with the laid guidelines by your company itself, not NABL. Okay, this type of audit is focused not only on whether the company processes meet the requirement of a standard, but all rules that your company has set in, which may be more stringent than the NABL audit or the checklist which NABL has given you. Okay, the audit will look for problem areas. What internal audit should look into? The problem areas, the areas where processes do not align with each other. It will also find out the opportunities for improvement, and the effectiveness of the quality management system can be ensured by taking corrective actions to those problem areas and uplifting those lacunae with corrective actions and preventive actions. So there are opportunities. We have to find it out and improve. So by design, these audits can and should be much more in depth than the other audits. Since this is one of the best ways of company to find areas to improve upon. Then coming to external audit, which are divided into second party audit and third party audit. But I'll tell you that internal audit the frequency of internal audit should be at least once in a year. You may have internal audits more than that frequency. You may have a system audit, you may have a process audit. So your frequency, you have to decide what you are going to, the program, the plan of internal audit, you are going to upscale depending on your size of laboratory. If you are a large scale laboratory and a reference laboratory, you may have a higher frequency of these kind of internal audits. Or if you are a small laboratory, maybe once in a year will suffice the need. Then coming to the second party audits, that is external audit, and second party audit is the type of audit. The second party audit is when a company performs an audit of a supplier to ensure that they are meeting the requirements specified in the contract. So I'll give you an example that will help you to understand what are second party audits. Suppose I'm running running a gym, and I want to have a contract with laboratory, your laboratory. So I want my contacts or my clients to go to your laboratory and do health checkup. So in that case, I'll first of all see whether your laboratory is NABL accredited or not, or maybe CAP accredited or not. But at the same time, I want to, I may have some other criteria to decide whether I can keep your laboratory as a business to business point or not. So what I will do, second party audit. I'll come to your laboratory and see whether your laboratory is actually performing to comply with my requirements or not. Whether my clients are getting satisfied by doing investigation in your laboratory or not. Because my criteria is different, I have to do second party audit in your laboratory so that the contract between us gets renewed or can be established. Okay. So for the sustainability between the sustainability of the contract between us, I will have to do the second party audit, and that will ensure me about the quality processes being implemented in your laboratory. Then coming to third party audit, that in most of the cases that is NABL audit, or for some laboratory that may be a CAP accreditation also. A third party audit occurs when a company has decided, now I know my quality management system is good enough. I have good documentation. I have ensured that the implementation of the documented procedure is well set in. Okay, and the internal audit also have confirmed that. So now I want to go for accreditation by a third party. I'll choose the easiest one or the approachable one, that is NABL. So now I will apply for that. So I want to create a quality management system that conforms to the standard set by the national requirements such as ISO 15189 and NABL 112. I'll hire or apply to NABL for that. That is the auditing company. I'll apply to that. Okay. These independent companies are normally known as a certification bodies. Okay, and they are in the business of conducting audits to compare and verify that the QMS are meeting all the requirements of the chosen standard or not. So after the agency will do the audit, external audit, they then provide certification to the companies or the laboratories that they assess as having achieved the standard. Okay. So the process of external auditing is crucial to medical laboratories as it will determine their compliance to the international standards such as ISO 15189 standard. Okay. And the external audit is usually conducted once in a year or maybe twice a year for the on-site assessment, but desktop assessment will be after 1 year. So there will be a audit by external agency once in a year, maybe a desktop, maybe on-site assessment. So there are three types of audits used in this process. We can say the certification audits, maintenance or surveillance audits, and recertification audits. So maybe This enable audit can be the first assessment, maybe reassessment, maybe the verification, or maybe the reassessment after some changes are done in the laboratory. Okay, so this was regarding categories of laboratory audit. Now we'll go to a slide where we have discussed the strategies of laboratory audit. So what are the strategies? So the process of auditing involves two main strategies. These are horizontal and vertical audit strategies. Now coming to the vertical audit, what by definition it is, vertical audit involves the checking of all aspects of a quality system within an area. So I'll choose an area and I will audit all the processes. Like an example I will take, like I want to follow a patient sample, a single patient sample I will follow from collection to the issuing of the final authorized report of that particular patient for all the tests for which the sample was sent. So I will audit all the processes which are involved in that area. Okay, so that is an example of vertical audit, and this will evaluate more than one process on a single item, right? So on an average, this vertical audit is going to, audit following 8 operations. What we have seen in this example is the competence of the staff, whether the staff is actually competent enough to perform that analysis on the sample. The sample records are whether they are properly recorded and kept. The procedures used, whether the procedures are properly documented and whether they are 100% properly implemented. The quality control of the parameter analysis, the maintenance records pertaining to the equipments which are being used for that parameter or the particular analysis of the sample. Then environmental conditions, is the sample properly discarded, is the wastage material coming out of the equipment is properly discarded, and before it goes to the environment, is it properly treated or not. Reliability of the result, because it is the authorized report, I am talking about sample collection to the authorized report. And storage and disposal of the disposal practices. Okay, so all these 8 practices I'll go through when I'll do a vertical audit of a single quality system process. Okay, but I've given you an example of horizontal audit, right? So it is the audit when one process is audited across many departments, okay, in an organization. So I have told you an example that I want to, see the reporting part, how the reports are being issued, how the revised reports are being issued across the disciplines. So I will prefer to use horizontal audit strategy for that particular scope of the audit. So when we decide the audit, we have to see the scope and we have to decide the strategy. Okay, so that is the importance of deciding the strategy of audit.